What is up, guys? I've got a really solid video for you today on why, if you're an agency or B2B service-based business, you need a downsell offer, and why this is really non-negotiable if you are looking to predictably scale your business. And it has to really do with the economics of scaling a service-based business. And I'm just going to get straight into it. So 90% of your warm and engaged leads will not qualify for your main offer, right? This is normal, completely normal. You might think mistakenly that, if these leads turn up to a sales call and they're not qualified, they're not revenue qualified, that they are unqualified and you just turn them away. But that is the incorrect thing to do, because essentially it's just a simple mathematics, right? Imagine that you only had a main agency service where you only wanted to work with your absolute dream client. You need to understand that your dream client, likely, if you are offering some kind of agency service, is going to be at a multi-7-figure, 8 or 9-figure run rate. And the type of individual that you're reaching out to at this point, whether it's a founder, CMO, head of growth, whatever it might be, is a certain caliber of person, right? Especially, it's quite likely that you're reaching out to the founder unless it's a massive company. And you need to think about how dialed in of a person that this individual actually is to have gotten to where they have gotten, right? Because remember, there's no such thing as business problems, as we say. There's only personal problems that manifest in your business. So any small business owner who's at this kind of level is definitely going to have an absolutely dialed in productivity and personal kind of routine, right? That's going to then have been passed down to their team. They might have a really dialed in sales team, sales process. Their marketing's on point. Maybe their marketing's not point, because that's why they might be hiring you and working with you. But other aspects of their marketing might be on point. They would be calling your the leads that opted in straight away. They'll be responding immediately to your messages. They're great people. Those types of people, you're literally reaching out to millionaires or multimillionaires, right? So this is, by definition, they account for a minority, a fraction of the population and a fraction of your TAM, your total addressable market. And I don't need to bring out any kind of data or study to show you this. It's just common sense. So by definition, you expecting to have all your leads through cold acquisition being revenue qualified and being your ideal customers makes absolutely zero sense from an economics perspective. That's not how business actually works, right? So what's the answer to this? We've just established that the vast majority of of leads, if you're trying to scale cold acquisition, they are not going to be a fit for your main offer. So what do? This is why you need a downsell offer. Now, this might not be a problem that you actually appreciate or come across until you get to the stage where you're looking to scale through cold acquisition, right? Whether it's through cold email, any other form of outbound prospecting, paid ads, it doesn't matter. Because if you've got a founder with a great personal brand or a great content marketing system going, and you're getting tons of inbound leads, referrals, then this problem can be really masked. But where you really sort of are exposed and put out in the open is when you start cold acquisition at scale. Because when you start cold acquisition at scale, that is when you immediately realize that your business isn't scalable as of right now, because you don't have a product suite that allows you to scale. You cannot have one agency service and expect to get to 8 figures. It doesn't work that way. Right, you need other packages, you need downsells, but there is an art to this as well, which I won't be going into in this particular video. But the whole game is to essentially engineer a downsell that has minimal or marginal costs of replication. Right, so this is coming down to the unit economics of business. Can you roll out a product which is streamlined enough where you can deliver maximum value to the customer, but then also be able to actually deliver that at scale, right? And that's really where the sort of art of marketing and acquisition blends into operations, right? If you have someone like this in your company, then that's a sign that they're going to go all the way, right? Someone who has operational skill as well as acquisition skill, that's sort of like a very rare skill set. Usually it requires 2 or 3 heads to bump together to have that kind of skill set, either in-house, or you might hire a consultant or partner up with another agency to do this. But anyway, with that, I kind of went on a tangent, but with that said, let's get into it. Okay. So your dream client is essentially few and far between, right? I'm not saying you won't get them with cold acquisition, you absolutely will. But again, like with inbound, like with referrals, there's just not going to be that many of them, and you won't be able to scale past your revenue plateau. And this usually happens between the 50 to 200K per month range. Okay. Again, if you're targeting maybe a personal brand, a coach, consultant, etc., who has X number of subscribers, imagine the type of creativity and discipline that's required to get that. You're talking about a certain caliber of person, right? So I covered this. So what do we do? So here's what we do if a prospect clearly does not meet the criteria for your main offer, right? You need to have something to actually sell them that is almost identical to your main service, but it's just a little bit less. And what I mean by this is you want to cater to someone who has less of a budget, but would be happier with a slightly less transformation. So if you're getting a whopping big transformation for your ideal clients, maybe a client who has less of a budget would be happier with something just a little bit less, as long as you can logically explain to them why they are not qualified for the main offer, right? And this will, and don't make the mistake of thinking this won't happen either. This happens all the time for clients that I've done lead gen for. I'm doing lead gen for myself as well. You need to understand that a great outreach message, a great cold email, a great ad that contains a great offer, even if it's targeted at the top end of the market, you'll get loads of people who are just so horribly unqualified, but they want that service. They want the thing that you sell, right? They're essentially this. They're in your niche, they have the problem you solve, and they have the money to pay you, but they just don't have the money to pay you for the main thing, the main offer. And there are loads of these types of people, and a huge mistake to make is just turning them away. If you don't have something yet that you can sell them, you absolutely make it a top priority to actually engineer a downsell, right? So your job on the sales call then becomes to help them reach the conclusion very clearly that they don't meet the criteria for the main offer. Now, most of the time, people reach that conclusion by themselves, but you'd be surprised at how many prospects you actually need to logically explain that, well, you don't actually meet the criteria for this offer, because in order for us to get you X result, we need Y amount in ad spend or whatever it is, or whatever the criteria might be, because you know your service, you know what's required to actually get results, right? And you point them towards, but we have this downsell which is perfect for you because of X, Y, Z, and you still want to sell something that the prospect wants and will solve their problem, but it's just less involvement on your side, on your end. So again, this comes down to the main point. I feel like I'm going to repeat this throughout this video, which is you might think that essentially uneducated business owners who don't understand what the point that I'm trying to get across in this video, you might think that a revenue unqualified prospect is just that. They are unqualified, but they are qualified. Absolutely, because they are in your niche, they have the problem you solve, and they do have the funds to pay you. They just aren't your dream client. And there's a very important distinction between the dream client and everyone else, right? What we're talking about here is basically just expanding your TAM, expanding your total addressable market. So let's say your dream client is someone doing 250K per month, but you get on a call with someone doing 70K per month, also wanting your offer. It's so easy to cater to that person, but you just offer less of a guarantee. You charge them less, and you deliver in a way that doesn't bottleneck your business. So obviously you can't perform the same service, for just a cheaper price. That doesn't work that way. But you absolutely can roll out a done with you, a DIY, so an info product, or I've covered this point before, but these are delivery mechanisms, right? Done for you, done with you, DIY. The best service-based businesses in the world often have a hybrid of all three of them. So we see a lot of agencies now in the space, a lot of successful agencies who have realized what I'm talking about in this video. They essentially are selling infrastructures or systems where they do a done-for-you setup, then they provide coaching, and they might optionally also place talent into the client's business. This is very much a done-for-you, done-with-you hybrid offer, and it's these hybrid offers that perform really, really well because you're sort of at the sweet spot where you can guarantee or go a long way into guaranteeing client results, but also it's something that's operationally far more scalable than the main done-for-you offer, right? So if you do all of this, your unqualified, quote unquote, leads suddenly turn into the bulk of your revenue. And that's completely normal. This is literally how you scale a business. Completely normal. And I'm not going to go into this. I do cover all of this and how to frame this on the sales call in my really like extended, like an hour and 20 long minute video on it's labeled advanced offer training, but it's way more than that. I go into a lot more detail about unit economics and how to engineer a proper go-to-market motion. So especially if you're an agency. I just wanted to cover this bit as well on how do we actually convey this in our outreach? Like how do we write our cold email? How do we write our ad script and our ad creative in light of what we have just learned, right? And it's very simple. We do still target the top end of the market with our best offer. Because we do this instead of individually sub-segmenting the market and tailoring messages to each individual ICP, right? And the reason we do this is essentially, we want to think about the end outcome that you can get for your ideal top of market client. This is your dream client, and this is because I'm just going to skip through this because I've already gone through this, right? We've gone through who your ideal client really is. It's just they're a rare type of person individually, right? So what I found is that when you lead with your best offer targeted at your dream client, the lower end of the market will also want the same thing. And you might think that actually, well, won't they get intimidated? Won't they just disqualify themselves? No, because a lot of people actually, I don't want to say deluded, but like you will end up getting horribly unqualified leads, like from the lower end of the market, still opting in, unless you put qualification criteria on some kind of type form or quiz software, form software, or whether it's on your calendar software. They will get on a sales call with you, and that's fine because that's good because you're finding out that people want to buy from you and people want what you sell, which is still great, right? You just need to now work out, how do I deliver a solution that is actually economically viable and scalable for my business, right? So if you do the reverse and you only target the lower end of the market, you immediately disqualify the best clients, which you absolutely do not want to do, right? Even though they might be few and far between, it's going to be likely MRR for you, monthly recurring revenue. It's going to prop you up very nicely at 100, 200K per month baseline. And so it's going to give you safety. One sec. Sorry, I just started coughing like crazy. Anyway, back to it. Obviously, we want the ideal clients because they're going to prop you up very nicely. They're going to give you steady monthly recurring revenue. But even more importantly than that, because they are really dialed in people themselves who run dialed in businesses, that is your best shot of getting phenomenal case studies and transformations. And when you do that, that is such powerful front-end marketing material that you can then recycle, you can then integrate into your content marketing overall. So that's why you absolutely need to target the top end of the market, and you don't need to do this whole thing of sub-segmenting and targeting different ICPs. That might be the case for large companies, but I'm really talking about companies doing less than 10, 20 million a year here. That's sort of the people that I'm targeting, and that's my sort of target audience. So yeah, this is essentially how you get the largest volume of leads whilst preserving quality. And it's true for pretty much any outbound marketing channel. By outbound, again, I mean outbound prospecting or cold outreach channels or ads. I've tested with hundreds of thousands of messages across different platforms. And yeah, it all comes down to this. Like we said, we should be closing anyone that is in our niche, has the problem we solve, has the money to pay us. before I wrap up this video, I'm going to be talking about how do you actually go and engineer a downsell in the first place. So let's say we have now found this to be true. We're getting loads of unqualified leads, but they actually are. You've watched this video and you realize they are in your niche. They do have the problem you solve and they do want to pay you. So how do you go about actually taking a new offer to market, a new downsell offer? And the first thing you want to do is map everything out. So I'm a massive fan of process mapping. This is something we help our clients with. So I'm going to show you an example of something we did for a previous client. I've just zoomed out for sake of confidentiality. That's why you can't see anything, and just blocked out a few things. This is something we did for a previous client when we found that exactly what I told you, 80 to 90% of our warm engaged leads that were coming in were just not revenue qualified for their main ideal dream clients, which is why we mapped out this downsell offer, which was initially started off as a done with you, but it evolved into a hybrid offer, which actually was more successful. Like I mentioned, a lot of agencies who are launching these hybrid offers, these infrastructures, selling the system, it's a nice hybrid between done for you and done with you, which allows for not only for scale, because it has less operational drag, so it has sort of the best elements of the done with you, but it also has the best elements of the done for you, which is, even though a done for you is more intensive, it is the thing that's actually going to make sure the clients get results. So this is also very important, right? So this is something that we help you with. We might not necessarily be doing it for you, because that depends on the nature of our agreement and our scope of work. But it's absolutely all of our clients get access to the information and consulting around the process of actually mapping out your systems and processes, your org charts. And we use Miro personally, but you can use Lucidchart or any other software out there. And this is essentially how it begins. And after you do this, you can then start to understand a bit more about, okay, how are we going to deliver this? And then it's just literally a case of just selling those units on the sales call and positioning yourself correctly on the sales call. I do go into this in more detail. If I just scroll down here, yeah. So if you want to, I do believe I cover this in the extended training. So it's literally just another YouTube video on my channel. It's the hour and 20-minute video. So do definitely go and check that out. Especially if you want to learn more about this. This is really just how you get to the next level in terms of scale and predictably unlock more revenue in the process of scaling to the 8-figure mark. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Honestly, it's one of the most important things that I've personally learned, and something that we pretty much implement now for all of our clients, non-negotiable. I mean, I talk about this on the discovery call, and if you don't understand this, we just won't work with you. It's that important. Of course, it depends where you are, but if you're a more established business looking to scale, this is so important. It's really non-negotiable. So yeah, thank you.